World War Z 2 has mirrored the original in that it could rise from development hell, with Brad Pitt producing and starring again. There is currently no release date for the follow-up to the popular zombie film that was made from the best-selling book by Max Brooks. There are many more stories to be told in the World War Z universe because the book functions as a nearly journalistic anthology covering various aspects of a zombie outbreak. Notably, despite delays from reshoots and a $190 million budget, World War Z still earned $540 million at the box office, supporting the idea that a sequel should be produced. World War Z is the highest-grossing zombie film of all time, despite the last-minute reshoots and changes, so those who enjoyed the first film shouldn't be discouraged by the fact that World War Z 2 is taking a while to be released. Momentum might soon pick up again with Pitt as the driving force both in the pitch meetings and in front of the camera. It would be fantastic to see World War Z 2 re-emerge on Paramount's radar because there's something gorgeously ironic in a zombie movie that refuses to die. World War Z 2 has undoubtedly generated enough interest to justify development. Just whether everything can come together to make World War Z 2 a reality remains to be seen. Here are the most recent developments concerning World War Z 2 and the causes of the delay. Explanations for World War Z 2's delays. Is it cancelled? World War Z 2 was shelved by Paramount in February 2019. The development of the movie encountered several obstacles during the pre-production stage. Stephen Knight, the author of Locke and Peaky Blinders, first submitted a draft in 2014. But Paramount instead hired Dennis Kelly, the man behind the tragically unfinished UK, for a rewrite. Consider thriller Utopia. It appears to be a remake of the making of the first film, with numerous rewrites that might cloud the original intent. There has also been a fair amount of turnover among the directors under consideration. In 2013, The Orphanage director Juan Antonio Bayona enlisted. He then left because of other commitments. In the end, Bayona joined the Jurassic World sequel. Further delays resulted from Brad Pitt switching to his role in Ad Astra while he was still a producer and a sought-after leading man. The sequel was further delayed as a result of Pitt's outstanding performance in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Brad Pitt stayed with World War Z 2 throughout all of these other movies, indicating that he still wants to move the project along. As of right now, if the sequel moves at all, it might not arrive until 2024 or 2025. China's prohibition of ghost and zombie movies is another cause for concern. Paramount might be hesitant to make an uncertain investment given the significant global market's remarkable influence in contemporary Hollywood. Given how much it costs to produce World War Z, Paramount might be worried about recovering such a large sum of money without having access to the Chinese market. In sum, the prospects for World War Z 2's release don't seem too promising given that China will likely continue to forbid certain filmmaking techniques. Nevertheless, the production team for the World War Z sequel has recovered from worse. For World War Z 2, Brad Pitt is back. In the event that production on World War Z 2 resumes, Brad Pitt will return to the title role as Jerry Lane, a former investigator who travels the globe in search of solutions to put an end to the zombie apocalypse. At the conclusion of the first film, Lane finds his family in a safe area free of zombies. By the time the credits roll, Jerry's plan to immunize the populace against the virus that turns people into zombies has been implemented, and survivors have started mounting zombie-on-zombie assaults. Based on how the first movie ended, World War Z 2 might demonstrate how the world survives the kind of apocalypse that wiped out the world in the Walking Dead series. After portraying Karen, Jerry's wife, in the first film, Myril Enos is also interested in returning for World War Z 2. It would make sense because her character is still alive and well in World War Z, so a return would allow the franchise to immediately re-engage with Pitt and Enos' compelling chemistry. Everyone was waiting in line to go. We had Fincher and a gorgeous script, but something just didn't work out, she claimed. It seems such a shame that it won't be made. The first one was fantastic. The story of World War Z 2, what might happen? The story of World War Z 2, which is a sequel to World War Z, will naturally center on zombies and how humanity deals with the fallout from the initial outbreak. Humanity gains a glimmer of hope during World War Z's conclusion. Vaccines for the virus enable survivors to hide from zombies and flee to safe areas. Pitt has two options in World War Z 2 because this aspect of the story was pretty neatly wrapped up in the first film. The first possibility might be realistically inspired by the COVID-19 pandemic, which affected populations all over the world with various variants, some of which were resistant to vaccine protection. The virus that caused the outbreak in World War Z might behave like any other virus and mutate under pressure, forcing Jerry Lane to start over and find a complete cure or another vaccine. In George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, for instance, the black protagonist survives a mall full of zombies only to be killed by police at the end. The best zombie films offer cultural commentary on the behaviors and attitudes of society at large. Films like World War Z 2 and Army of the Dead 2 have the ideal opportunity, structure, and platform to deliver a biting take on social tension during a real-world pandemic. It could shed light on current affairs if the authors wanted to investigate vaccine uptake, mistrust of authorities, variants, and subsequent waves of infection. The second choice is to read the book in more detail. It was a great shame that the zombie-hunting wiener dogs who gnaw on zombies' feet to slow them down weren't in the first World War Z film. The book, however, deviates greatly from the original film in terms of its scope. The vaccine used in it acts as a placebo and gives the public a fictitious sense of security. The first book is a study of humanity at its worst, much like the political struggles that shaped The Walking Dead Season 11's storyline. After the vaccine's falsity is revealed in the book, the global system falls apart completely, sparking an all-out zombie eradication effort. The world is stuck in a nuclear winter with little access to running water afterward, and human life expectancy and quality are severely reduced, but humans did survive the ordeal in some capacity. Why the Fincher World War Z sequel is a lost opportunity. The specifics of World War Z 2's plot and release date are still unknown. But it is certain that David Fincher is no longer in charge, which is a missed opportunity that would have undoubtedly resulted in an intriguing sequel. One rumor claimed that Fincher's plan for World War Z 2 involved Jerry Lane going on the hunt for the person responsible for the outbreak's virus, but since Fincher never confirmed this, we can only speculate. Notably, the caliber of each film that David Fincher and Brad Pitt have produced together, including C7N, Fight Club, and even The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, suggests that Fincher's World War Z 2 might have been extraordinary. First of all, World War Z 2 got a boost from Brad Pitt's friendship with David Fincher, who agreed to direct the film years before it was shelved. More significantly, Pitt and Fincher appear to have a deeper synchronicity that could respect the grim toughness of the World War Z book. The original's direction, however, was a point of contention between Pitt and Mark Forster. The director of World War Z. Pitt wanted to respect the vision and nuance of the original material, while Forster wanted a big, brash zombie action movie. The Fincher-Pitt team may have provided the extra push required to get the project back on the right desk. David Fincher's World War Z 2 isn't completely out of the running, as the sequel's protracted period of development hell will only encourage Pitt and the other producers to explore all options for finally starting production. The rewrite was overseen by Fincher, who may be exactly what this sequel needs to give the plot direction and definition. Pitt and Fincher will inevitably delve deeper into the books for a more faithful adaptation if David Fincher does end up directing World War Z 2 after all. The timing of World War Z the second of may have been off. The horror genre's current trends are constantly shifting. Movies about zombies are no longer the box office darlings they once were in the 2020 seconds. Instead, they have reverted to being a niche interest. The Walking Dead ended in 2022, and while many spin-offs are expected to be released, it appears to be the only widely watched zombie-themed production at this time. The lengthy 11-season plot and the large cast of characters are to blame for this, though. It still doesn't change the fact that the zombie movie craze that World War Z rode in the 2010 seconds seems to have been sated. It's possible that World War Z 2 missed the mark, and it's uncertain whether the movie would enjoy the same success as its predecessor. The Scream movies, the new Halloween trilogy, as well as works like Midnight Mass that give vampires a completely new perspective, are all contributing to the current popularity of slasher movies and vampires. Although it could be argued that World War Z 2 hasn't quite hit its stride in terms of cultural relevance. Streaming services might help. If World War Z 2 has a compelling enough plot, streaming it might help to alleviate this problem since viewers with more specialized interests are increasingly turning to streaming for all of their niche requirements. In either case, the zombiphilic pop culture era that made a World War Z sequel possible may have passed, making it too late for a sequel. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and support my channel.